What a matchup at Cole Fieldhouse this afternoon. The Blue Devils of Duke, ranked number 2 in the nation, and the Terrapins of Maryland, ranked number 4.
It's Brand and Akizi who will take it up. The officials, Larry Rose, Carl Hess, Ted Valentine, and it'll be Rose to throw it up. Terrapins have it first.
Man-to-man for Duke. Boy, there's some great individual matchups in this game. Langdon going against Francis.
Morris has a look, can't get it. Maryland with a rebound rejected. Ahead they go to Battier. 2-0 Duke.
That is just a great pass, and Battier almost got the steal. Great pass and catch. Wow.
Everybody remembers what happened here last year between these two clubs. Again, a well-anticipated game. And Duke hit its first 4 threes. It was 12-3 before Maryland could really even get going. And Maryland was blown out by more than 30.
This is important that Duke make Maryland play against its half-court defense.
Forced shot by Stokes, and here come the Blue Devils.
That was great defense. The clock was running down. The Terrapins really didn't have anything. Man-to-man for Maryland as well.
It is critical for Maryland to get off to a good start, but Duke has already prohibited that with Brand. 2 more. It's 4-0 Blue Devils.
Tim, and 2 layups for Duke. 1 on the fast break, and now 1 inside with Elton Brand.
Pressure defense. Inside they go to Francis. Crowd wanted a foul call. There was none. Terence Morris misses the dunk.
He used his quickness to get to the basket, but he blew the dunk. Now Maryland's 0 for 4.
Carroll has a look, doesn't take it. Battier does. Profit with a rebound.
Maryland would really like to push the ball.
Well, emotion sometimes gets in the way of concentration. And an air ball for Profit. Maryland's tight. Back to Battier, and down they go to Brand. This will be a pretty good matchup right here. Brand,
wow.
Sweet.
That's a heck of a move right there.
Just like that, 6-0 Duke. Maryland looking for its first bucket. Akizi. Little jumper, and he gets the roll. Terps are on the board. And that brings the crowd back into it. Maryland 1 for 6.
That was good patience by Maryland that time. They got an excellent shot.
Langdon left alone. He doesn't miss those. 9-2.
Boy, that's great offensive execution early by Duke, Tim. They're getting wide open shots and they're knocking them in.
Yeah, this is reminiscent of a year ago. Duke is 4 of 5. How sweet was that? The alley-oop by Francis, the tip by Laurent Profit. Carrawell, yes. Duke's on fire.
Maryland really has not been able to put a great deal of defensive pressure on the Blue Devils.
And consequently, they're 5 of 6. Maryland ball lost out, last touch by Carrawell of Duke.
Tim, so far early in the game, Maryland isn't getting any easy looks at the basket. Duke's defensive pressure is pretty good. Maryland did miss that one dunk by Morris, but Maryland is being forced to play against the half-court defense.
Burgess comes in and Brand goes out. As you look at the field goals, Duke has been on fire.
And here Burgess is matched up against Morris in the man-to-man. Now he and Battier switch. That's a better matchup for Duke.
The whistle and the foul away from the ball. And I believe this one will be called on Battier.
Terence Morris, we talked about his quickness, that he's very difficult to guard. Joe Smith, another guy who was hard to guard for these Maryland Terrapins, and Battier picked up the foul.
Taken away by Burgess. And here's Maggette at the other end, and Morris with a rebound. Corey Maggette in the ball game. Last night, Coach K was telling me he's the best athlete ever at Duke. High praise for a young player.
walked.
First turnover for Duke. Timeout on the floor. We'll take one as well. 16 minutes to play first half. Duke 11, Maryland 4. Blue Devils of Duke out to the early lead, 11-4. Hit their first 3 shots. They are now 5 of 6. Take a look at the top 25. Connecticut still holding on to that number 1 spot, followed by Duke, Cincinnati, which beat Duke, and Maryland. With Carolina and Clemson still in the top 25 as well. Maryland ball. Stevie Francis, his first shot of the game. Yes, that's for 3.
That was a great job by Francis to take advantage of the mismatch created by the screen. Burgess was matched up against him, and he took care of him. Now we got, I think that's another foul on Battier.
The first one was on Langdon, and that one's on Battier.
Tim, as you look at this play, you can see Burgess there matched up against Francis. He's looking to go back to his man, leaves Francis alone. You cannot do that against Steve Francis.
The matchup they have really worried about at Maryland was Avery and Stokes. Here's Francis again in the lane, double pumps. And Morris puts it away. 11-9. Maryland on a 5-point run.
Maryland back in the man-to-man defense. And now we've got another foul. This is on Chris Burgess, an illegal screen.
And that brings Mike Krzyzewski off the bench. He's not happy.
I think what Mike Krzyzewski is complaining about is the illegal screening was occurring right in front of the Maryland bench, and I think Mike feels like Gary Williams provided some assistance for the officials. Burgess, as he sets that screen, he moves into the man, and you can't do that.
Francis, tough shot, he's fouled. Duke now with 3 turnovers in its last 4 possessions, and Maryland on a pretty good run.
Maryland has increased the defensive tempo just a little bit, Tim. Early in the game, Duke was getting very easy shots. Maryland has shut those off, and now Steve Francis, handling the ball at the point, has really put a lot of pressure against William Avery by penetrating to the basket.
A 77% free throw shooter, Steve Francis. He has now hit 49 of his 62 attempts this year. Maggette goes back out of the ball game, and Carrawell comes back in for Duke.
Really important as Miller gets set to come in the game that you attack the Duke defense. You cannot hold the ball out on the perimeter and pass it around because they just put too much pressure on you. And what Francis has done is he's been able to get by Avery and break down the defense.
Francis to tie the game.
Now Maryland with the pressure. This is the first time we've seen the full court pressure today.
7 straight points for Maryland. We're tied at 11. Avery's shot off the back of the iron, and Akizi ends up with it.
That was not a good shot by Avery.
Game getting physical now. Inside they go to Morris. Little jump hook.
Boy, they're battling inside.
Penetration by Carrawell, ball's loose. And a foul's going to be called on Francis.
Tim, we expected some real battles going on inside, and Elton Brand and Abid Akizi have not disappointed yet. Brand attempts to set the screen, then gets himself in good position. Avery tries to shoot the ball over Akizi. Brand was wide open, and then Brand going for the rebound gets knocked down.
So Chris Carrawell will be at the line. He's a 64% free throw shooter.
Chris Carrawell shooting 2.
Averages 9 points, 4 rebounds a game. Down, around, and back out. Nate James makes his appearance. Avery goes out. Martisic comes in. And Akizi goes out. Both coaches substituting freely.
Both coaches have 9 guys who can play, and that's a luxury that not many people possess.
Carrawell makes his second, and Duke has a 1-point lead.
Now, Steve Francis, since Avery's out of the game, is going to be going up against Langdon.
Cross team up underneath. Martisich. Oh! What a play by Brand. Langdon for 3. It'll be Duke basketball.
Boy, Steve Francis with the crossover move was able to get himself open. This is just a great pass inside to Martisich, but Elton Brand, you don't often see. Brand is on the right side of your screen, and he's going to come over to help, and Martisich never saw him.
Here's Brand against the sophomore. Brand loses it out of bounds.
A little bit too much one-on-one on the part of the Duke Blue Devils right at the moment, Tim. They started the game moving the ball pretty effectively, but the last few trips, everybody who gets it tries to take it to the basket. Duke now with 4 turnovers.
So much talent on this floor right now. Here's Francis against Langdon.
And see, you can't occupy the ball that much. Too much dribbling on both ends of the court.
And that was one of the criticisms that Steve Francis had after the game against Kentucky. They lost, and many said Francis was trying to do too much in that game. Avery comes back in, Stokes comes back in, and Francis goes out.
So now we get a different look at it again at the point guard spot. It's Stokes against Avery once again. That's the way the game started.
Juan Dixon in for Maryland as well right now. He is Maryland's best 3-point shooter. Here's Morris to Dixon.
Can't leave Dixon out there. Oh, nice move, but again, he got close and just wasn't able to convert. That's 2 now that Morris has had a point-blank range and hadn't been able to convert.
Carrawell working against the freshman Miller. And the foul, this will be called, I believe, on Dixon, and that'll be his first. So Juan Dixon picks up his first personal.
We talked about guys taking the ball to the basket. That's what Carrawell does, just puts his head and shoulders down and heads to the hoop. This time he finds James open, and Dixon trying to come over to help. Really gives him a pretty good whack.
So Nate James at the line. He's made 19 of his 24 free throws this year. He's a sophomore right here in this area, Washington, D.C.
Tim, of course, Duke traditionally under Mike Krzyzewski gets to the free throw line a great deal because they continue to attack. No different this year.
You know, Duke has never been really known as a strong rebounding team, but this year they are banging the glass and getting more than their share. Numbers on James. Makes them both, and it's a 14-11 Duke lead. 13-10 to play first half. Tim Brandt, Dan Bonner with you. Cole Fieldhouse, the dish to Martin. He banks it in. Charged offensive. Player control, will they wave it off?
Yes, they did.
So the score remains 14-11.
That was excellent penetration by Stokes. He just blows by Avery. Battier comes to help. But what a great job by Battier to get his body turned, to get in the way and draw that charge.
That's his 14th charge of the year. He took 29 charges last year. This foul is going to be called on Ron Prophet.
And the fans are not very happy about that, but that is a very rare play where the official lets somebody get away with that without fouling, coming from behind trying to tap the ball away.
Reminder to stay tuned at halftime for Bell South. You call the play feature. A look at the big plays from the ACC games. Avery working on Stokes into the paint, left free, and scores.
They played him for the pass that time, Tim, and he took the shot. Good, Brandon and Kesey really going at one another.
Duke 5-5. Turnover for Maryland. Ahead they go. This pass to James, and he puts it away.
Nate James.
Duke now with 7 straight points, and it's 18-11 Blue Devils. Take a look at the ACC standings. Maryland and Duke both at 1-0. Florida State at 1-0, but I don't think the Seminoles yet are to the talent of Maryland and Duke. Of course, Carolina lost that game to Georgia Tech, surprised a lot of folks.
Obviously, of course, it's early, Tim, but I think that most people would agree that Duke and Maryland, based on the strength of their overall records and the teams that they have played so far, seem to be the class of the ACC. I think it'll be a battle for third place as well as a battle for first place, because I think the rest of the teams are just maybe a notch below Duke and Maryland.
12:22 to go in the first half. It's Duke by 7. Inside to Akizi. Turnaround jump shot. Tough shot.
Boy, look at Brand break out. My goodness. Big guy gets down the court that fast. He's hard to guard.
Carrawell comes up with an air ball, fights for the ball. Avery and Akizi go out of bounds with it.
Tim, but what created that whole play was the fact that Elton Brand got down the court so quickly. They weren't available to block him out. He got his hand on the ball, and Akizi hit it as it went out of bounds.
6'8", 265-pound sophomore Brand, but how about Nate James with a high percentage shot? Duke with a 10-6 rebounding edge and now scoring 7 points in a row, and they lead 18-11. Boy, the big guys, Dan, have been banging inside.
Well, Bina Akizi to this point has held his own in there. Brand has scored 2 field goals, Akizi 1. So that's sort of a draw right now, and I think a draw on the inside really favors the Maryland Terrapins. Interestingly enough, as we get a look at Elton Brand coming back in the game, another guy who's coming back in the game is Steve Francis. He was out for about 1 minute and 50 seconds, and during the time that Francis was out of the game, Duke went on a 6-0 run, so Francis now back in for Maryland.
Steve Francis with 5 points. Langdon just with that 1-3. He's been fairly quiet. Stokes defending Avery, and he gets the roll. Avery puts 2 more in, and it's 20-11, Duke. Their largest lead of the game.
Boy, Avery really aggressive offensively. Here's Laurent Provin with the ball. He started out very slowly. Only 1 for 3, 2 points thus far in the game.
Tough shot there, and again, Maryland gets blocked out. Akizi saves it. No, he touched the line.
Tim, and I think that's an excellent description of what Laurent Provin experienced. It was a tough shot. He did not get himself an open look at the basket. The defense was right there. Stokes now goes out of the game again, but Maryland, they've been more successful when they've been able to use their offense to create open opportunities.
Matchup they worried about was Avery. Avery blocked by Akizi here. Carrawell inside. Brand with the follow. He has it taken away. And Battier finishes.
That's great scrap on the inside, but Duke stayed with it and scored.
Duke's largest lead, 22-11. It's an 11-0 run for the Blue Devils.
Now here's Carrawell matched up against Francis. I don't know that this is a matchup that Mike Krzyzewski particularly wants.
Maryland's been getting 1 shot, and that's it. Here's Francis from way outside. Wow. Are you kidding me?
Here's Maryland, the half-court trap now.
Avery up top. Francis on him.
5-second violation.
5 seconds, and Steve Francis yelling at the official that it took too long.
Of course, when you're on offense, you count 1, 2. And when you're on defense, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Here's Francis in the paint. And again, the block out by Brand has the advantage, and Duke gets the ball.
Well, now you can see on that play why Mike Krzyzewski isn't particularly intimidated to have Carrawell matched up against Francis, because Carrawell's got those long arms, and Francis tried to shoot over him and didn't have much success. I think if Francis is going to have success in that matchup, he's got to be able to use his quickness and penetrate by.
22-14 Duke. Back inside to Brand. Over top of the easy.
My goodness, are they banging one of them. Mike Krzyzewski wants to know, hey, that wasn't anything?
Francis throws it away.
Brand is down under the basket again. They didn't see him.
Got Profit on Avery now. Here's Brand goes into the paint. Battier, yes. 10-point Duke lead with 9:37 to play in the first half.
Tim, Duke had that one stretch where they turned the ball over, but otherwise they've been very crisp looking on the offensive end.
Maryland still looks like it's trying to find the matchups it likes and still has not gotten good shots. There's a tough shot by Dixon.
That's the kind of shot they're going to have to make all day. They're going to be in for a long afternoon. That was a great, great basket. He walked.
No, they're going to call a foul.
Well, I think it's important from the standpoint of the officials, if you let an awful lot of heavy contact go on with those traps, then the contact is just going to increase throughout the game, and now Baxter comes in for a Kesey.
Lonnie Baxter's interesting. They've got a few fouls to give with him. Last week he had a career-high 28 points against North Texas, and he is a big body at 260 pounds.
10 for 10 from the field, so they want to do more than just give fouls with him.
Well, he broke the old record. That was Gary Williams. Gary said his assistants weren't doing the job, and they would have gotten him out sooner. Here's Francis to Dixon for three. Oh! There's Baxter.
Senior one foul.
Dixon picks it off. Francis. Morris. Yes. 24-20. And the crowd is back in it.
Maryland Terrapins attacking the basket, and nobody blocks out Baxter, and he's just able to run in and knock it home. Same play, Baxter coming in. You got to get a body on a guy that size, and now Francis makes a great decision. Rather than try to lob it up to the basket, finds the close guy Morris, who turns around and finds nobody guarding him and drills it.
So Maryland scores 6 straight points in just 49 seconds. And they pulled the crowd back into it. 24-20, the Blue Devils still lead.
Maryland has had some success with this half-court trap that they've used.
Wow, that was explosive.
Now, Tim, this is a team that scored 32 points in the first 8 minutes of the game against Wake Forest. They can score and score in bunches.
This is the freshman Maggette. Dribbles into a double team. Now they kick it the other side. James Block to Morris. To Stokes.
And the ball's out of bounds.
Profit was out of bounds. It'll be Duke ball.
I think this is what you call end-to-end action.
Nice look by Langdon that throws it away. Baxter contributing big. Again, the lob pass to Profit.
I'm telling you, if you're going to lob it today, you better lob it very, very high.
Out to Stokes. He doesn't shoot often, but he does here for three. It's a one-point game.
That'll be a huge factor for Maryland. Duke's been leaving Stokes alone out there to try to help on the inside.
It's a 9-0 Maryland run.
We're pretty close to 10 seconds.
Baxter and Brand all over each other. And Brand with the putback.
Boy, that is some quickness on the part of Maggette, and what power he took by Brand. He took it away from Maggette, Kesey, and everybody else in there.
Brand's got 6 points, 4 rebounds. Francis has a look and now decides to take it. Draws iron.
Oh, what a great play by Burgess. Baxter was hanging on as Burgess was going to get the ball. Then Burgess bounces it off his leg.
Gary Williams knows Duke is not intimidated in this building. The Blue Devils have won 11 of the last 13 played here.
Duke with the three-point lead, and it has been some real battles down on the inside. Elton Brand working hard. As Maggette misses the shot, Baxter doesn't block out Brand. He gets the rebound, and somehow he had 4 guys, including his own teammate, grappling with the ball. He got it up and got it in, and he's done that pretty well the last 3 games.
Lonnie Baxter's entry into the game triggered Maryland's 9-2 run, and it's 26-23. Duke. Shot blocked. Maryland has it.
Well, good quickness by Avery, but
Morris has a 3-point shot. Throws iron. Look at Dixon get up, but he has it taken away by Carrawell. Langdon on the baseline, running one-handed. Maryland overpassing. Morris should have taken that one right to the hoop.
I don't think Morris realized how open he was, Tim.
Brand comes back in. That was a short rest.
Well, he's had a couple of very short rests. You can't afford to have that guy out of the game.
Got to rest fast. 7 turnovers for Maryland now. Terps have been changing up on Avery. They've had Stokes, Dixon, and Steve Francis on him. Here's Brand with the turnaround. Battier with the rebound, and he's fouled. Nations Bank, a corporate partner of ACC basketball, presents this Salute to Excellence question. Which ACC coach has recorded the most NCAA tournament wins of any active Division I coach? Log on to the internet address right there on your screen with the correct answer before Tuesday's telecast, and you will be entered for a chance to win a pair of tickets to the 1999 ACC Men's Basketball Tournament, compliments of Nations Bank. And Battier makes the first one.
Tim, and as usual, Duke has done a nice job getting to the free throw line and then converting once they arrive there.
Battier makes them both.
Duke 5 of 6 from the line.
Duke by 5. Dixon has a look. This is way outside. Again, one shot, no. Kesey gets it back. Takes it strong. 28-25, Duke. Avery in the paint. Gets it to Brand, and he puts it away.
Boy, that was a great catch by Elton Brand. Avery, I thought, was a little too deep. I don't know how Brand caught that one.
Francis fouled, actually mugged in the lane.
We've talked about Elton Brand, and we've talked about how important his matchup was against Obinna Ekezie. Ekezie has played very well thus far today. The rebound, and then takes it for the conversion. Obinna needs to have a big game, and he's more than holding his own at the moment.
So Battier picks up his second personal. Maryland brings it in, and Dixon cannot find the range. Last touch by Duke, Maryland basketball. Trajan Langdon couldn't get to it, and Trajan's been rather quiet here this afternoon.
Had that one open look and hasn't been able to do anything more than that. He's had one other shot in the game, so Maryland's done a nice job finding him and defending him.
Terps have to get it in a hurry. Nobody was there to bring it in. They started to count on it.
There's the matchup that we have seen for pretty much of the first half. Chris Carrawell against Steve Francis.
5-point game. Prophet. Blocked. Morris. Put back. Yes.
You draw that much attention inside, somebody's going to be open.
This foul is going to be called on Terence Morris.
Maryland Terrapins, as the ball goes into Prophet, you can see 3 Duke players, including Brand and Battier, are right around Prophet. Nobody available to block out Morris, who scored.
So Carrawell goes back to the line. Carrawell this afternoon has 3 points. Make it 4. Harrington has stepped right in. He's playing well. Check your local listings. That's Tuesday night. 4:45 to play in the first half here. 32-27 Blue Devils. Oh, Steve Francis!
And he's fouled by Maggette. Tim, that's what I'm telling you he needs to do against Chris Carrawell. He's much quicker than Carrawell. That time he just blew by to the basket. You don't want to start and then pull up because Carrawell can block your jump shot. But what a play by Francis. How did he hang up in the air that long? Maggette comes over to help, jumps with him, but Francis just stays up in the air longer.
Steve Francis now with 10 points. Misses the free throw. The tip back by Morris. Here's Francis again. The Keezy left alone. Never really got the handle, but the putback by Prophet.
Boy, Maryland is really doing a great job on the offensive board. Duke struggling with their defensive rebounding.
This is as close as Maryland has been in the first half.
And they're this close because they've got 8 offensive rebounds, Tim. That's really kept them in the game.
Knocked away Carrawell in the paint. Steve Francis with the rebound. Under 4 minutes to play in the first half. Stokes got in the air, didn't want to. Dangerous play. I believe this is going to be against Elton Brand.
Talk about that battle going on inside between Brand and Keezy. Maryland now in the 1-and-1. Brand getting down, getting his arm into Keezy. You can see Brand just pushing at him. The offensive player is entitled to that position down in there. Brand hit him a couple of times before the foul was finally called.
So Keezy goes to the line. He is a 72% free throw shooter, having hit 62 of his 86 at the line this year. He makes the first one and earns the second. Here's a guy that is still getting better every week.
Now, you're talking about Obina Keezy. We got a quick glimpse of Steve Francis on the bench. Remember the last time Francis went out of the game, Duke went on a 6-0 run.
I don't know how much better Francis can get. Maryland's first lead of the game. Boomer Esiason, former Maryland Terrapin, now with ABC Sports, Monday Night Football crew. What a job he did.
He's the guy who, as a child, watched you playing football at Maryland.
At the University of Maryland. That's why he came here and followed me to ABC. Look at Joe Smith as well. These guys right here are anxious. They want to get back to work. The NBA guys. Maryland's trailed by as many as 11. Now they lead by 1, their first lead of the game. Avery, this is for 3.
That is a long, long three-point shot.
And the foul is going to be called out by Morris. Actually, I believe the foul should be on Miller. Right.
Interestingly, Tim, you mentioned earlier that Trajan Langdon has been relatively quiet. He hasn't scored a point in the last 13.5 minutes. Maryland doing an outstanding defensive job against Langdon, taking him away from those spots on the court where he is most effective.
Now, Carrawell has been in the limelight here this afternoon, and he's playing quite well. He's got 5 points. Misses that one, and Keezy comes down with it. So Maryland with the ball in the lead. And has it blocked, but he's fouled. And I believe this will be on Battier.
If it is, it's 3.
And that becomes a factor if it is.
Juan Dixon noted for his three-point shooting, but without switching hands, he actually blows right by Carrawell, goes to Battier, and that's where you pick up a lot of fouls coming over to help out.
So Battier has 3. Dixon at the line. You see his numbers, and he does not get the roll on the first one. Now, Juan Dixon is awfully strong at the line. Normally an 84% free throw shooter, Maryland's best. He also Maryland's best three-point shooter.
Now this changes the equation a little bit for Duke. With Battier out of the game and Burgess in, Duke is bigger and stronger, but not as quick.
Maryland has scored 7 straight points and now leads by 2. Maryland coaches said it was important that the Terps hang around early. If the game is close early, then they're going to gain confidence. Of course, Duke's been in a lot of big games. And the foul.
That's pretty good defense by Maryland. They shut off the inside and got it to Langdon, and the one thing that you don't want to do in that situation is commit the foul, and Langdon, who has been struggling from the field, is now going to get a chance from the free throw line where he almost never misses.
Terence Morris picks up his second. This guy, I think, is the best shooter in the country. But pinches the first one, and how rare is that? It's the old jinx. Rob Reichley yelling in my ear, you jinxed him.
Well, coming into the game, he was 55 for 59, 93%.
Not bad. ACC's all-time free throw shooter. And makes the second one. So again, it's a one-point game. The Terps up. Inside to Akizi with the turn and the foul. The foul is going to be against Burgess. Said he pushed off. That's him, 2 on him.
That may be my imagination, but Akizi gets the ball down inside against Burgess, and he appears much more confident in there. That was a tremendous spin move to the basket that drew the foul from Burgess.
The announcers for this game selected and compensated by Raycom and Jefferson Pilot Sports. Any use of this broadcast without their express permission is prohibited.
Obina Akizi at the line. Pretty good first half with Baxter and Akizi in the game. Now Maryland has gotten bigger and stronger.
Gets the bounce, and Dixon goes flying across the lane.
Speaking of bouncing, Dixon didn't bounce very much. He just hit the floor and slid.
Akizi 7 points, 3 rebounds.
Dixon really a good leaper, times his jump very well, and Carrawell's got to work hard to block him out.
Off the back of the iron. So Maryland's lead remains 2, but Maryland holding its own without Steve Francis in the ballgame. Blocked by Akizi. Profit. That wasn't even close.
Tim, he never got his feet set.
You know, it's been a strange year for LaRon Profit. He started the season slowly. He's been on a tear over the last 3 games, averaging 23 points, but really looks like if he gets off quickly, he has a good game. If he doesn't, then he struggles. Another block by Akizi. Dan, I think you're right. He is playing with more confidence, certainly more aggressively.
Boy, they missed Brand. He was alone inside. Each team is so strong defensively, Tim. It's hard to play against the set defense, and they each continue to struggle.
And Avery throws it away for Duke. That's 8 turnovers.
Chris Carrawell takes the ball inside. Akizi and Baxter are standing right there. He's got 4 guys around him, but he elects to shoot it anyway. And so Akizi gets the block, and now Akizi just standing, helping out, goes back to his man Burgess and blocks it. 2 excellent plays by Obina Akizi.
1:25 to play in the first half. Shot clock has not been a factor in this ball game. Avery comes up with the turnover. Crowd wanted a foul call. There is none, and Caraway converts. Caraway with the basket.
And that was not an easy shot. It was a close shot, but he had to slide right by to avoid the charge. But there's a situation where Duke did not have to play against the set defense of Maryland, and they took advantage.
Tied at 35 with 50 seconds to play in the half. Francis, spin move, tough shot. Not a good shot.
Well, he spun right back into the defense. You make that spin move, you want to get away from the defense, but he spun right back into Trajan Langdon.
Game clock at 35, shot clock at 25. Avery takes it right in with the big guys and puts it through.
Well, you think he's getting down in there too far, Tim, but he's been able to convert a couple of those. This has been a great first half.
It has been. You think there aren't some players on this floor? Oh, my. Game clock is down to 6.
Oh, that's a great
tap. Bob Baxter at the buzzer. It counts. And we're tied at 37.
So I guess we got to do it all over again.
Wow. Boy, overnight they were talking about a big storm. We had some ice, but it is just magnificent outside now. Could play this one outdoors, but instead they're inside. It's warm in Cole Fieldhouse, and the game is heated up. We're tied at 37.
Tim, these two teams have both been so dominant all year long. You can see each of them huge leads at halftime, and of course they're deadlocked at halftime today. But some interesting things. Elton Brand has 8 points and 6 rebounds, but when you combine Obina Akizi and Lonnie Baxter, between the two of them, they have 11 points and 6 rebounds. Trajan Langdon only has 4 points for the Duke Blue Devils. And Corey Maggette, who's been such a valuable spark for Duke coming off the bench, didn't score in the first half.
I'll tell you this, great atmosphere for this game. All kinds of celebrities around Cole Fieldhouse. Tickets were going for $1,500 to get in here. Number 2 and number 4, Duke and Maryland. Tied at 37, folks. This is as good as it gets. The final 20 minutes.
Brandon Akizi working hard down on the inside, and now what's going on? And that's a foul against Brand. Wow.
Well, keep in mind, Battier has 3. Brand now has 2.
Boy, he and Akizi really battling on the inside, and Brand is going to get called for a foul because he pushes back. He gets himself in position and then starts moving back against Akizi. Man-to-man defense for Duke.
Profit tries to get into Akizi. He does, but it's batted away. Morris loses it. Ball's still loose. And Duke comes up with it. Battier ahead to Brand.
And that's a foul on Akizi.
And he smiles, he knows it. Tried to get over to take a charge, obviously couldn't get there in time.
Well, Elton Brand has such good quickness. You see a guy at his size, 260 pounds, and think he's just some big muscle guy, but he's got great quickness.
You know, that's a great point. Both he does and Akizi does. Akizi played soccer until just 4 years ago.
Oh, nice shot.
That was
Battier.
nice.
Gee.
Battier gives Duke a 2-point lead, and he has 10 points.
And that's a block, and that's 4 fouls.
So Battier picks up his 4th.
There's that quickness we were talking about with Steve Francis. Just blowing by Chris Caraway out on the perimeter.
So Battier goes out of the ball game.
Turning to Battier, number 34, Chris Burgess.
He kicks it back out to Stokes. To Akizi with a jump hook. Can't get the roll. Great hustle by Profit.
Francis is the guy who kept that ball alive. Tipped it away.
To Francis. His shot is short.
Elton Brand made sure nobody but Duke got that rebound.
Brand has it partially blocked by Profit from behind. And Profit ties the game at 39.
Maryland doing a great job hurrying the ball into the offensive end to keep the pressure on Duke.
Nice move by Carrawell. And a great pass to Brand.
Man, you talk about all his other skills. He's got such great hands. That was a tough pass to handle.
Stokes was bringing it in, and all four guys ran down court. The crowd had to let him know that he was down there by himself. So Francis comes back and helps him.
And now Burgess has 3 personal fouls. They're really using McKeezy very effectively on the inside. Maryland, for the most part, has been able to set its defense, but here's a defensive breakdown outside. Carrawell gets past Profit. Akeezy's got to come to help, and a great pass to Brand. Boy, just catches it all in stride, going to the basket.
Akeezy 3 for 4 at the line today. Pinches that one. He's played well against the toughest team. He scored 19 against Kentucky. Played well against Stanford. See what he's done today.
What's up?
And this is the second one. The tip back to Stokes, and Maryland gets it back. Terps down by 2.
Man-to-man for Duke. And that's a traveling violation. Gary take a shower at halftime with his clothes on?
I know he didn't like that call.
For Duke, number 14, Nate James for Chris Burgess.
Duke by 2 with the ball. Things have gotten quiet here at the beginning of the second half. You look at the turnover situation. This is Avery working against Stokes.
And those are really not bad numbers given the intensity with which this game has been played. And that's a good call. Foul against Morris. Pushing from behind against Nate James. Fans wanted to walk, and James did indeed walk, but it was because he was pushed.
Terrapin fouls number 42, Terence Morris, his third, second.
Man-to-man defense from Maryland, as they have been throughout the ball game. McKeezy and Brand. The turnaround jump hook gets the roll.
Now, if he's going to make that shot, that's going to put a tremendous amount of pressure on the Maryland defense, because he and Langdon were on the same side of the court, and Francis couldn't drop off Langdon to help against Brand.
4-point lead for Duke.
Duke with a relatively small lineup. Nate James, only about 6'6", going up against Morris at 6'9".
And Morris throws it away. 3 turnovers this half for Maryland. Ball still loose.
And he didn't get a foul on Stokes. Or was that Francis?
I believe that was on Francis.
If that's Francis, that's number 3.
.37 to play in the ball game. We don't have the same flow right now we did at the end of that first half.
Well, the game has become very physical, and the officials are talking right now that after that last call, the Duke bench was hit with a lot of debris coming out of the stands. So I think that we're going to have this first free throw and then maybe an announcement about the debris.
Makes the first one. Baxter comes in, and Morris goes out of the ball game for Maryland.
And the security folks have been summoned over to behind the Duke bench, and they're telling the folks back there not to throw things. They're also telling a lady with a camera she can't be taking snapshots while guys are at the free throw line.
Duke has outscored Maryland 8-2 this half. Maryland still trying to get on track. It's 45-39 Blue Devils. Baxter misses the shot from in close, and it'll be Duke basketball.
Baxter has been a factor in his time in the game.
Yeah, but Maryland's in a little bit of a funk right now.
Now we're getting the announcement about throwing objects on the court.
This one would be called on Baxter, who just killed Langdon.
Langdon tried to set up a screen. And I'll tell you what, you better buckle up if you're going to screen somebody the size of Baxter. Now that screen was set. He was stationary. He gave Baxter enough room to move or to change direction to avoid the contact. And Baxter just ran him right over.
6-point Duke lead. The Blue Devils also have the ball.
And Francis has just been outstanding defensively against Langdon.
Here's Avery in the paint. Nice pass down low to the big guy. And look at the follow. Oh, Nate James.
They didn't block him out. Lonnie Baxter forgot about it.
This foul is on Carrawell. And for Carrawell, that'll be his first. Well, we got a little bit slow there. 15:51 to play in the ball game. It's 47-39 Duke as they start to inch away a little bit here in the second half. Duke and Maryland meeting for the 140th time in their illustrious careers. There's a look at Steve Francis,
who has done a very fine job defensively against Trajan Langdon. You can see Langdon's only scored 4 points. Francis with 10, but only 2 of those coming in the last 15 minutes.
But that's not unusual. When you start playing defense against one of the nation's best, you lose your offensive.
My boy, Akese just ran over Nate James. First it was Langdon getting bowled over by Baxter, and now Nate James steps in. And Obinna Akese just runs right over top of him.
Totally out of control.
Maryland now, thus far in the second half, Tim, only 1 of 4 from the field, 0 of 2 from the free throw line, and now 4 turnovers.
Nate James left alone at the other end, misses the shot, and it's last touched by Brand.
And that's a shot you got to make. Good pressure by Akese to get back and help out. But in a game like this, you don't want to lose 2 points like that.
Here's Prophet. To Francis. Has his shot blocked. Carrawell, who's played big today, converts.
Langdon now with 6 assists in the game. He hasn't been scoring a great deal, but he did a nice job that time leading the break.
Duke up by 10. Maryland wants a 20-second timeout. Duke's largest lead was 11 points. After an 11-4 start, they went up to 22-11 in the first half, and Maryland tied it at 37 at the half, and now Duke is pulled back up by 10. Another look at our Nation's Bank ACC Salute to Excellence question. Which ACC coach has recorded the most NCAA tournament wins of any active Division I coach? The answer? Mike Krzyzewski. He had 43 NCAA tournament wins, one more than Louisville's Denny Crum. Also has back-to-back ACC regular season titles.
And his staff would make a pretty good pickup team. Quinn Snyder on Mike's right, Johnny Dawkins on Mike's left, and sitting to the left of Johnny Dawkins, David Henderson. Some guys who could play in their day.
Akese walks.
Tim, one of the things that Maryland is struggling with in this game is we've played 5 minutes of the second half, so we played 25 minutes in the game, and Maryland only has 2 points off the fast break. Duke has done a nice job getting back on defense, forcing the Terrapins to play against the set defense.
Danny Miller in the ball game now for Maryland. Avery has a 3 wide open. Nobody even picked him up, and that's
well. Of course, it was wide open. It was almost at a half court.
Largest lead of the game.
Who's going to guard somebody out there? Wow, that was a long shot. Duke now 13-0 run.
Langdon knocks it out of bounds. Maryland does not look sharp right now, and Duke is making them pay. 52-39 Blue Devils.
Keep in mind the Blue Devils have had a couple of big leads this year. In their game against Michigan State, they lost a lead and had to battle to win.
This is last touch by Nate James. Danny Miller will bring it in as Dixon comes back in and replaces Stokes for the Terrapins.
Something else to consider too, Tim. This is Duke's first road game of the year. They've played 7 home games and 6 games at neutral sites, but this is the first time they've really gone into enemy territory. So it'll be interesting to see if Maryland makes a run at it here, how they react.
Francis with a stop and pop off the back of the iron. He's going cold. Here's Prophet. He has it knocked away, and he's fouled.
That's the shot, however, that's going to be difficult for Francis. He pulled up and tried to shoot the jumper over the long arms of Carrawell, and that has not worked very well.
Stevie Francis has been quiet over the last 15 minutes.
And here, the guy at the free throw line is another guy who's been quiet.
MVP of the Puerto Rico shootout. Been on a tear the last 3 games until today, but today he's been rather quiet, as you say. Now he's got 7 points.
Prophet is 3 for 8 from the field. Francis is 3 for 10 from the field.
Rebound.
First points in a long time for Maryland.
There's a couple of pretty good freshmen matching up against one another.
11-point lead for Duke. Now the tempo starts to pick up just a bit. Langdon left alone for 3. You don't want to do that.
Well, this is a guy who has not really had very many scoring opportunities, but he hasn't tried to force anything, and then when he's open, he just buries it.
2 for 2 for beyond the arc for Langdon. Francis is fouled.
Langdon picks up that foul, however. Now, this is Langdon on offense. Boy, he doesn't get that much opportunity to be that alone, and even though guys run at him at the end, if he has that much time, he's going to bury it. Langdon just picked up his 3rd foul, though. Keep in mind, Langdon's got 3, Battier's got 4.
And Francis at the line, 77% free throw shooter. He has to be the nation's top newcomer this year. Misses that one. He had 21 points in the last game against South Carolina State. Had his career high 25 against Kentucky.
He hadn't scored for 17 minutes, Tim.
And gets the roll there. 55-42, and they call this on Juan Dixon, I believe. Or they call it on Prophet.
No, they called it on Dixon. Dixon coming over the back of William Avery, trying to get the ball in bounds.
Terrapin foul, number 5, Juan Dixon, his 2nd, 6th on the team.
13.5 minutes to play in the ball game. Francis and Avery doing some battle. Outside to Maggette. Maryland balls. Bodies flying everywhere.
These two teams are really, really going after one another.
Well, the tempo's just picked back up again here over the last 2 minutes.
One of the problems with tempo for Maryland is when you can't score, you can't set that pressure, and Maryland controls tempo with their defense. So they need to score a little bit so they can force that pressure.
Trajan Langdon's going to get a little break here. Here's Steve Francis, top of the key. Underneath the Miller, and he can't handle the pass.
Well, that would have been an impossible pass to handle. It's thrown behind him.
Nice spin move by Avery. Look at Brand with a great rebound. Still battling underneath. And the whistle and the foul. Call it against Martisic.
I think they called it against Miller. Brand is one of those guys that when he gets his hands on the ball inside, again, Martisic has to go help against the penetration, and so nobody's available to block out Brand. He gets the ball, and Miller fouls him coming over the back.
The Brand at the line. He's had 4 double-doubles this year, averages 17 points, and makes that one.
You know, the key to that particular play is as Morris comes back in the game, when Martisic leaves Brand doesn't stand there and become a spectator. He steps into an area where he can get the rebound, so nobody can block him out.
13 points, 8 rebounds, also has 3 blocks.
And I'll tell you what, he has had to earn everything that he's gotten. There's been nothing easy for Elton Brand.
And a lane violation against Stevie Francis.
And I tell you what, the only reason they didn't have a lane violation on the first one was because he made the basket, Tim. Because Martis had stepped in the last time. Now Francis has something to say to the official.
Right now, Maryland looks a step slower than Duke. This is for 3.
Now this will make him look quick.
Francis can't get it to go down. Rebound underneath. Profit. He has it blocked out of bounds.
That's Maggette in there. Boy.
Talk about quick ups.
Maryland, remember, still limited to 2 fast break points. They have an opportunity here, but Duke does an excellent job getting back defensively, and Maggette knocks it out of bounds.
Profit cannot convert. Really struggling now. Maryland is out of sync, and Duke is blown away.
Maryland's still got a good effort on the defensive end. They just can't score down on the other end. Oh, now who do we got? We got Dixon fouling Avery going to the basket.
So Dixon picks up another personal. That's 3.
Tim, this game becomes very difficult when you can't get the ball to go in the basket. And Maryland in this half, 1 for 10.
William Avery shoots 1 and 1.
And the sophomore from Augusta, Georgia, makes the first one. He's really been playing well. Had 26 points against Florida with 8 threes. That was a school record. Iowa beats Northwestern 52-48. That now a final. Avery makes them both. And Duke has its largest lead of the game, 58-42.
And Maryland's got to figure out a way to get some offense.
Tie-up, possession arrow belongs to Maryland, so they'll have it.
But now, the interesting thing is they ruled Akese had the ball. Akese had possession. Duke tied him up, so that's the new rule. The defense caused the held ball. They get it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you follow the women's team on radio.
Duke has played well here in the second half, but Maryland has struggled. They've taken the crowd right out of this thing at Cole Fieldhouse.
Maryland only shooting 1 for 10 in the second half, and that's really been the big story. You can see Duke very effective and efficient, 7 out of 14, only 1 turnover. The Terrapins, on the other hand, only 1 field goal and 7 turnovers. So the field goal turnover numbers are reversed, and that's always a bad idea.
Just under 12 minutes to play. Let's see what happens here and transpires at Cole. Maggette takes it down the lane. He has his shot blocked, and Akese ends up with it. Maryland needs to get into some kind of motion. Morris mishandles it and banks it in.
That was a great catch by Morris. I thought going over the backboard. I don't know how he pulled it down. Now Maryland, since they've scored, they're able to set the pressure, and this is where the Terrapins are most effective.
He's outscored Maryland 21-7 since the half. Langdon spins, tough shot, draws iron, and this is going to be knocked out by Brand.
Langdon actually slipped a little bit as he tried to let that ball go.
Nate James comes in and replaces Maggette, the freshman.
But Maryland was able to set their pressure, and as a result, I think they were a little more aggressive on the defensive end. Certainly that's what they need to be.
Francis in the paint.
That was not a good shot. Don't want to try to do too much.
Maryland's been in the man-to-man the entire game. Brand working against Akese. The big body's back again, and Akese.
Now what do we got? Foul off the ball.
The ball away from the two big guys.
I think it was Miller.
That's his second.
So it wasn't off the ball.
Akese, and that is his third. So Elton Brand at the line. Elton Brand, honorable mention All-American last year as a freshman, played 18 games because of that broken foot. Very physical player with super skills.
Now Akese has not fouled out of a game this year, and Duke really stretching that margin out on the free throw line. They're now 15 of 19 from the line.
Stokes on the baseline. Again, the ball is loose, knocked away.
Duke's doing an outstanding job on the defensive end. Maryland just is not creating good opportunities.
And Maryland's frustrated right now, obviously, and they just aren't getting it done. Ahead they go to Nate James.
And that's number 4 on Akese. Boy, Terence Morris has really struggled today. We mentioned you can see Morris standing there talking to Akese, who just picked up his 4th personal foul, and that pass inbounds to Morris. He was actually open under the basket. Just couldn't handle the pass. He's now 4 for 10. So you've got Francis struggling offensively, Prophet struggling offensively, Morris struggling offensively, and it's no mystery why Maryland trails Duke by 16.
With a chance to make it even larger. Here's James. Nate James, 6'6", 195-pounder from Washington. Had some big contributions today, 6 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 block. He was so heralded when he came out of high school, went down to Duke, then struggled a little bit early, but he's finding his game now.
Struggled with injuries, Tim. The young man has been hurt a couple of times, and this is really as healthy as he's been during his Duke career.
Maryland trying to get into some sort of offense. Baxter back in the ball game to Stokes.
Well, Maryland still has plenty of time left in the game, and there's Morris who draws the foul. It'll be not a shooting foul, but he'll get to go to the line for the bonus.
See what Terence Morris does up here, shooting 1 and 1. Here's a guy that's grown 2 inches over the last 12 months. And he's also gotten stronger, which has helped his game. Talented big man. Gives the Terps their 46th point of the game. But Maryland doesn't get back defensively, and James misses the layup. Here's fouled by Miller. And I mean fouled.
Well, that's the second time that James has missed that little layup where he's tried to go underneath the basket and lay it up with his left hand. Now, this is not an easy shot because the defense is coming, but James missed one like that earlier. However, Brand doing a great job running the court, and he just gets himself in position, and once he gets the ball down there, you're not going to take it from him, and Miller picks up the foul. Maryland over the 10 foul limit, so Duke shooting 2 the rest of the way.
This is the first one. They're awfully talented Duke team. The Blue Devils scored a rotation of 9 scholarship players, 2 seniors, 1 junior, 5 sophomores, and the freshman Maggette. See his numbers today, 15 points, 3 of 5 at the line. This is a vote.
Well, now you have a little bit of an opportunity for Maryland.
10 minutes to play. The Terps have to make a run, or they're going to be out of this thing. Freshman Miller takes it in, gives it to Baxter. And the tap put back by Morris.
That's back to a 13-point game. It's a turnover.
By Carrawell. It's Maryland ball.
Remember, this is an explosive Maryland team.
In the first half, Maryland went on an 8-0 run, and they did it in 47 seconds. They need one of those explosions now.
Francis trying to post inside against Carrawell, and I think Carrawell has the advantage when they're inside, but Francis has the advantage out here, but not when he makes a pass like that.
Francis really pressing. He's not on his game today either.
Well, of course, he's playing some guys who are doing a great job defensively against him. Carrawell has really done a nice job.
10 turnovers this half for the Maryland Terrapins.
Now, what they have to do now is create some turnovers. We talked about before the game how Duke, when the pressure was one of the keys. They had to handle the pressure. Obviously, they have, and they had to exert the pressure, and forcing 10 turnovers. They've done that as well.
Time now becoming a factor, approaching the 9-minute mark.
He traveled.
Turnover number 11 from Maryland this half. And Gary Williams is furious.
Maryland now 19 turnovers for the game. Gary Williams really unhappy with that call.
8:59 to play. It's a moot point now.
Well, now Maryland has to respond. This is a little bit of adversity for them. They came back just a little bit. They had the lead down to 13, had some opportunities to get closer. Now they simply have to respond.
Baxter inside. Banks it in. It's 63 to 50. Duke.
There's still plenty of time for Maryland. How did he catch that ball?
Outside the Battier has a good look. Carrawell has it knocked out by Francis as Juan Dixon comes back in for Francis.
They just need Francis to get a little bit of a breather, and they're going to get him back in. He's not going to sit there very long. Well, Maryland did a nice job defensively, forced the miss, and then they give up the offensive rebound, and Langdon makes him pay for it.
Langdon's shooting percentage is phenomenal.
Well, he doesn't force anything, Tim. He takes what the game gives him.
Great penetration by Stokes, and he's fouled. And it looks like it's on.
Are they going to call Battier?
I believe it's Battier. It is. Bucket counts.
Stokes is not a point guard that generally takes it all the way to the basket. He scores there. Now this, and I say that this will be the first time that Stokes has gone to the free throw line this year. But see, that's what I thought the call was. They called him for a charge. Stokes is the guy who committed the foul. The basket was good.
You know what? They went to the scorer's table and said 31.
But I think
now
they
the call has changed.
No, they didn't change the call.
Well, he went 3-1.
He was saying who was shooting down on the other end.
But everybody here thought he was going down this way.
Well, to be honest with you, I thought they called the foul on Stokes.
Well, it looked like a foul on Stokes. Obviously was a charge.
It's 2 shots. They ruled that the contact occurred after Stokes had released the ball, so it wasn't a player control foul, so therefore the basket counts.
There was no question about that, but I think he reported it to the scorer's table incorrectly at first. At 7:59 to play and 66-52. Got everything squared away now. Duke's still leading 66-52, under 8 minutes to play. So there's still time for Maryland to get back into this ball game, but right now they're struggling. And there's some Yakizi with 4, Battier has 4, Langdon and Burgess both have 3. This foul's on Avery.
Tim, I think it's a situation where Maryland needs to continue to be aggressive on the offensive end and on the defensive end. They can score points very, very quickly. They just need to find a little groove here. There's still plenty of time left in the game.
Do you know this is Terrell Stokes' first trip to the free throw line this year?
Now, we were trying to give it to him before, but he finally took it that time.
Amazing that a point guard would go into the season this far without even going to the line. Langdon, tough shot.
Oh my.
I'm telling you, folks, that's as good as it gets right there. He's now 4 for 7 from the field today.
I'll tell you what, he gets himself set to shoot faster than anybody I've ever seen.
He has 3 threes, and that's big. Barnes' shot is short.
And you get the feeling that maybe that 3 by Langdon took the wind out of the sails of Maryland completely.
I think it did to everybody in this arena. But that's the kind of player he is. That shot is short. Last touch by Maryland.
Battier does such a great job moving without the ball, Tim. And people talk about a quick release. Well, you have to get set to shoot the ball before you can release it. Brand forces the defender, Dixon, to go way out of bounds, and Langdon just catches the ball and shoots it. Catches the ball, ready to shoot.
6:53 left to play, and I'm telling you, time now a huge factor for Maryland, who is still out of sorts. Francis with a rebound. Maryland does have to run. And Morris with the dunk.
Well, one of the problems for Maryland today, Francis made a nice pass there, but Francis and Profit, between the two of them, were only 6 for 23 shooting the ball today.
Battier caused problems on that last one, tried to take a charge. He's taken 15 charges this year. Here's Langdon again.
Great
rebound with the rebound.
But one of the things that's Duke is not going to sit on the ball in this situation. So Maryland, if they can play good defense and get the rebounds after Duke misses, they're still going to have sufficient possessions. But once again, Duke missed. Carrawell got the rebound, and then the ball went out of bounds. Duke got it again.
Here's Langdon, frees up. Last touch by Stokes. Crowd not happy with the officiating this afternoon.
I think you can say that.
But then what do you expect in an ACC arena?
I don't think anybody's ever happy with the officiating.
Time continues to tick. Down to 5:45.
And see, now Duke is going to take a little time.
Spread the court, melt the clock.
Langdon has missed 3 three-point attempts in the last minute and a half, so Duke now going to try to take a little time off. Now they're going to rule this a simultaneous possession. Now, okay.
And now we'll take a 20-second timeout.
Well, let's try to explain what the ruling is here. If the defense initiates a held ball, then the defense gets the ball. And the ruling that was made right there is that Maryland actually took the ball from Duke. So when you take the ball, you become the offense, because in basketball, that's how you define the offense. You have possession of the ball.
Take another look at it, Dan.
Well, Langdon is going to have the ball stripped by Francis. Now, Francis has the ball. Now, Langdon gets on the court and ties him up. And so they've ruled that Francis had the ball. Langdon tied him up. And so, therefore, Duke gets the ball. Now, and they have reset the 35-second shot clock, which is exactly what they should have done. Because if Francis has the ball, then Duke loses possession and it's a new shot clock.
We have 5 minutes and 29 seconds to play in the game. And Duke is firmly in control of this one.
Very quietly, Chris Carrawell has had a nice game.
He has really had a good ball game and has been a main character since the beginning.
Well, 9.7 rebounds, 5 assists, and he's done an outstanding defensive job, particularly against Steve Francis. When I first saw him matched up against Francis, I wondered if that was a matchup that just had occurred on a switch, but it's obviously not the case. They meant for Carrawell to be guarding him, and he did a great job. And Prophet just smacked Carrawell. He goes down, got poked in the eye.
No call now. There is a official's timeout for the injury. Carrawell just continued to play consistently throughout this ballgame. He's been a difference.
Well, he's done a great defensive job. Tremendous defensive effort against Steve Francis. And when he hasn't been guarding Francis, he was guarding Prophet, and the two of those guys only 6 for 23 in the game.
Approaching the 5-minute mark. How about that? Langdon is as good as they get. Did a jump stop in the lane and kept going. Straight up.
Now steals the ball.
And Duke basketball, last touch by Prophet. Maryland's lost its composure a little bit here.
That's been very frustrating for the Terrapins. The game, as I said, is very hard when you can't get the ball to go in the basket, and they feel like the calls are going against them, and it's just been a very frustrating experience for the Terrapins. 20 turnovers now in the game.
Morris with the steal, looks for help. Here's Stokes. Whatever they do now, they're going to have to do in a hurry and do it in bunches. Prophet lost it again. James has it knocked out of bounds by Stokes, and the foul.
And Prophet just didn't squeeze the ball that time. It just bounced right out of his hands.
What a difference, huh?
Boy.
What a difference.
You know, he had 10 points in the first half, and he was a factor, obviously, in the first half, but he was defended pretty well in that half, and then in the second half, they've just taken him completely out of the game.
Had a nice talk last night with Mike Krzyzewski talking about this team. He loves the chemistry of it. Certainly everybody knows how much talent there is there, but everybody gets along and they're playing well. And this is a rebounding team, and Duke has never really been known for rebounding, but they have such big guys, and they just are all quick and talented.
Well, they've done a better job, particularly on their defensive boards in the second half. Maryland had 10 offensive rebounds at halftime, and Duke has taken care of that problem, and that was one of the reasons why Maryland was in the game.
Duke extends its lead now. It's the largest lead of the game for the Blue Devils. 72-54. That ball just barely got to the basket.
Now, there are not too many teams who can do that against Steve Francis. You got a guy like a Carrawell who's about 6'8", or Nate James who's 6'6", who has enough quickness to stay with Francis out on the perimeter and put the hands up and make it difficult for him to shoot over the top.
Battier to Brand, back to Langdon. They continue to spread the floor and milk the clock. Shot clock down to 9. First time we've mentioned the shot clock in the ball game. Down to 5. Shot clock at 2. Avery, how about that for clock management?
I would say that was pretty efficient.
You can't do it any better. 20-point Duke lead with 3:36 to play. The Blue Devils about to go to 13-1. Duke has outscored Maryland 37-17 this half in Cole Fieldhouse, if you can believe that. 20-point lead. Take a look at the Advance Auto Parts play of the game. And I mean to tell you, folks, when Duke came in here, they came in with authority. They find Elton Brand down low, and the big guy, 265 pounds, lets them know he's up there by himself.
And Maryland trying to get it inside. Another turnover.
Maryland with only 17 points in 16 minutes this half.
And Brand has dominated his second half matchup against Akizi. Brand in the second half, 9 points, 5 rebounds, 1 block shot. Obina Akizi, no points, 1 rebound. So that was a matchup we talked about Duke having to dominate, and they certainly have.
Duke shot clock down to 10. Langdon recognizes that, goes to Brand. It's easy.
Well, it's very difficult when you're down 20 points and you're trying to chase a team with a couple of minutes left in the game.
Give me a rebound. Rebound.
Maryland can't even get a tip. Brand with the rebound. This one's in the books. This crowd is so deflated. Came in here with such great anticipation.
Well, and it was such a great first half. Maryland got behind, but they played very effectively in the first half. Tied it up at halftime. But this 17-point total in the second half is their lowest point total of the year in any half. Previous to this was 23. They scored in the second half against Stanford in a game they won.
Battier with the pump fake hits the jumper. 78-54 Duke. Maryland bench just silent, I think, in shot. Here's Morris.
Maryland calls timeout. Now Morris is putting up some numbers. He now has 16 points for Maryland.
Call timeout.
But the Terrapins, 19 points in the second half. It's tough to win a game only scoring 19.
1:53 left to play. We'll return after these messages from the ACC. I think that tells it all.
I don't want to look, that's for sure.
Been a very frustrating afternoon, not only for the fans, but for the Maryland Terrapins, who were having their poorest half of the season. After this game was tied 37-all at the half, Duke has just controlled here this stanza. The last 20 minutes have been all Blue Devils.
And James steps out of bounds. Tim, you know what? Thus far in the second half, among Francis, Prophet, and Akese, the Terrapins have had one field goal in the second half. Make that 2 now. But when those guys aren't scoring, it's going to be hard for the Terps to put points on the board there. They force another Duke timeout with their pressure.
So Maryland pulls it back to 20 points, but there's only 1:41 left to play.
Well, when you don't score, you can't set that pressure.
No, that's right. And they never not only did they not get the offense going, but defensively, they kept finding themselves out of position. Awfully fine Duke basketball team, ranked number 2 in the nation, ready to push their record to 13-1. This is what they have to look ahead to as we get really heavily now into the ACC schedule.
Now you get into the meat of it. Duke there with a January 24th date at St. John's. St. John's has played a lot of the ACC teams this year. Are they trying to join the league? Well, I'll tell you what, Tim, Maryland's defense has not been that bad. Duke is a very good offensive team, and they've only scored 78 points, which is well below their average. But I'll tell you what, as Duke turns it over now, you're not going to beat the Duke Blue Devils only scoring 58 points. And that's been the Maryland struggle today, is on the offensive end. This is a Maryland team that came in averaging over 90 points a game.
Down to Akese, he puts it in, 18-point lead. Again, they put up the pressure, and this foul's called on Prophet. Well, when we look at the most valuable players of this ballgame, you mentioned Carrawell right off the bat, and what a fine job he did, not only in the first half, but all the way through until he got hurt.
Well, I think, those numbers there don't tell the story of Carrawell's contribution to the game. Defensively, he was outstanding, particularly against Steve Francis. Terence Morris, we said, 16 points, 9 rebounds. He's the one Terp who's put up some effective numbers.
Terence Morris right at his average. He averages 16 points, but Francis 0 for 6 this half, you're right.
And Carrawell going to have a nice shiner holding that ice pack. He got poked in the eye. And if you're on the Duke bench, you want to make sure you see everything that goes on. You don't want to cover up.
The tap out front. Avery again.
And that's really been the story of the second half for Maryland. On that particular play, they missed 2 free throws, but Maryland not able to control the defensive rebound, so the Blue Devils keep the ball. This is a very impressive Duke team, and I think this is a Maryland team that is much better than they showed today. I think the first half we saw the real Maryland. They just couldn't get it done offensively in the second half.
Langdon makes the first one. 1:27 left to play, and the lead is back to 19. Pushes it to 20. Oh, I agree with that. I think Maryland is a lot better than they showed today, but Duke, of course, came into this ball game certainly not intimidated and has had great success in this building over the years. 18-point now as Baxter banks it in. Duke has won 32 of its last 37 ACC regular season games. They'll go to 2-0 this year. Beat NC State by 20, and they've got Maryland by 18.
Well, in the last couple of minutes, Duke hasn't really been attacking aggressively, trying to run time off the clock. And there, Baxter grabs hold of Battier.
Tuesday night. Check your local listings as Battier makes the free throw.
Despite the fact that Battier has been in foul trouble most of the game, he's now got 14 points. Nate James has come off the bench and also played very well for Duke. 8 points, 5 rebounds, and so Duke getting a lot of contributions from a lot of different people.
45 seconds. Francis is stripped. Easy gets it back. Oh! And here's Baxter. Baxter's turning into a nice player. You're right. More than just defense and emotion and big bodies and fouls to give. Ahead to James. Offensive. So the foul on James, and with 28 seconds left, Maryland will get it back.
This time the Blue Devils breaking the press and attacking. Akizi gets back, and James just tries to go right up over top of him. Good play by Obina Akizi.
Hard to believe this game was tied at 37 at the half. It's two different basketball games.
And there again, there's Francis trying to shoot over Nate James, those quick guys with the long arms, and Francis just has not been able to get his shot off over top.
Down to 10 seconds. And that'll do it. So the Duke Blue Devils will win this one 82-64 over the Maryland Terrapins, and I don't think anybody could have predicted this. Blue Devils outscored the Maryland Terrapins 45-27 in the second half to finish the game 82-64.